Hey everyone, welcome to this week's mini episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. I'm your host, Chris Dutchko. Today we have a second part of an interview that we did with Jessica Lahey, who is a New York Times bestselling author whose new book, The Addiction Inoculation, comes out today, Tuesday, April 6th. I did this interview with her in December 2020, and we ran it as a full episode on the podcast in January of 2021 on episode 16 of season 3. So if you want to get the full video of the interview that does not include this small part about her talking about her book, you can go find that, and we'll have a link in the show notes below. But I wanted to run this today because she talked a little bit about her new book. At that point, she couldn't talk a whole lot about it. She's doing a lot of podcasts and other things in the days here, getting the word out about her book. But we talked to her in December about it, so I thought that was pretty cool. And she gave us a little bit of the behind the scenes about how books are published and the long time between when they're sent in and things that need to happen between the publication of the book and when it hits the market and all the other stuff. So I figured I would hold this until the day her book came out, give her a little publicity here in the area. If you're interested in getting the book, you can go to Let's Play Books in Emmaus, and they could probably pick it up for you, order it. Since she talks a lot about going to independent booksellers. So this is a small little part of the interview that I did with Jessica Lahey on her new book, The Addiction Inoculation.
Did you find anything in your research about like addiction and ninth grade middle school level at that level, or is it like kind of spaced out?
The book is, from my perspective, not only as a woman in recovery, a mom in recovery, a mom of kids who have a heightened risk due to their genetics for substance abuse, but as someone also who has taught, in an inpatient drug and alcohol rehab for 5 years. What I was really interested in over and over again, I would talk to kids who had abused substances when they were in high school, and some of them younger. I've taught kids as young as 12 who were in rehab. Over and over again, they talked about either almost non-existent or really bad substance abuse prevention programs. And so there's a whole chapter in the book that is solely about selecting a good substance abuse prevention program that starts, and how parents and teachers and you even need the research even shows you need the superintendents on board from beginning to end. Substance abuse prevention programs starting really, really young and going all the way through high school. And so there's a whole section in that chapter on high school specifically, and what you should cover in each grade. So yeah, it does mention ninth grade, I think fairly specifically. I don't know. I wrote it a while ago. Let's see. Yes,
it's one of those things, and listening to you go and like describing the book, it's like you're in it, you're editing it, you're all these different things. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to take a breather from this now. I know you've talked about your new project that you're kind of working on as well.
Yeah, I'm my head is all the way into the book I'm writing, my third book, and this second book isn't even out yet. It's a weird, by the time a book comes out, ask any author, by the time a book comes out, you're sort of, it's been a year ago. I finished this book. My first draft of this book went in a year ago, October. So it's been done for a while. But because of COVID and various other things, the publication date got pushed. So yeah, it's a weird, because right now my headspace is all into the topic of the third book, which I can't talk about because I haven't sold it to my editor yet. Hopefully I will.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird place. And KJ Delantonia is spending all of her time talking about Chicken Sisters, and yet she's already written the book after that and is in the editing process on that. So the timelines are weird. As someone who was used to magazine, like digital magazine timelines, where I could write something on a Tuesday and it would be up and published on Wednesday, talking about years is a very strange thing.
It is. So yeah, it's one of those things where you just kind of, not being in the book world, you kind of really don't know what it's like. Yeah. But then, listening to your show, it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's really like.
We try to talk about everything we're sort of allowed to. There's a lot we can't talk about, but we try to be as blunt as possible because the learning curve in publishing is really steep. So we figure, as best as we can help someone. And to answer your question, actually, very specifically, yes, I can talk about the book and I can tease the book, but I'm not accepting interviews solely about the book, and any interviews I'm doing now, and I'm already doing them, get pushed until the pub date.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because I thought that I would I would kind of curious to know, but I didn't know if you were allowed to talk about it or not. But you did, and there you go.
My publicists are happy if I tease it, but if I were to go into great detail, because they're worried that people would think, oh, it's out now, and then go to try to buy it, realize it's not out now, and then get frustrated or forget about it. So you want it to be on everyone's mind when they can actually purchase it, because people tend to, there's a window of opportunity to have someone hit purchase on that button. And if they move on to other things, and actually it gets to your answer to your question about why I do so many podcasts. I can't tell you the number of emails I got where someone would say, oh, I heard about your book and I thought, oh yeah, I should buy that. And then I heard you on another podcast and I was like, oh yeah, that book I meant to buy and I didn't buy, I'll buy that. Then they put it in their cart. And then they hear you on the third podcast. And they're like, oh, I bought that book and I don't know where I put it, but I guess I'll read it now. So there's this sort of needing to get into people's consciousness enough that they actually pick up your book and read it. So that's the other benefit.
If you want to find out more about Jessica, you can go. She's on Twitter. She's on Instagram too. And I was going to say, if you want to just follow somebody that's in education that's on Instagram, but they post nothing about education on it, it's great. Her dogs are great. She posts pictures of her out in her backyard in Vermont. And
Vermont
stuff
dogs. My game cameras in the woods. I've been trying to find my foxes who lived there last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing serious about education on your Instagram account. And then your website, which you said, jessicalahey.com. Anywhere else that people should be trying to find you? I know if you're a book reader, Goodreads and all the other stuff there, but anywhere else?
Those things are all great, but really for me, it's Twitter for fun. And if you go to jessicalahey.com and you happen to sign up there's all kinds of freebies that I send out just to people who are, on my mailing list. And